Hello and welcome. Two Lights in the Darkness are back. Yay!
Yay.
And we have a special guest,
Ooh.
Branden Densmore.
Hey
Yay.
I
everyone.
love that you can your name, you can just Densmore. Oh,
Rolls right off the tongue.
wow.
We should make a song out of it.
We could. We could.
Oh, Brian could. Brian Dirks, he's going to be a guest speaker and soon, and he does rap. Oh yeah, he could do it really good. I'll have to tell him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be nice.
Mhm.
I'm
But
thinking a new YouTube intro hip hop video.
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
we didn't even start, and the ideas are already running.
Yes.
Percolating.
Yay. Branden, who are you? Just let us know, tell us. And we're going to talk about fear tonight, right?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about fear. I have a few notes written down. It's a new subject. I've never really talked about it publicly, but it's something I've been thinking about for quite some time, and I'm excited to share some information about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Just run us through. Well, first, who's Branden then? Oh, look at
Got my kitty
that.
here.
Oh, I love
Oh, you're
cats.
the other baby. Okay.
My other
Two
baby,
babies. Well, yeah.
little Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I just had I have an 8-month-old baby and 2 cats. So
Oh.
Ah, so
I
you have
love them.
Sophia and the other
Sophia
cat?
and Cusco.
Oh wow, I like those names.
And
Love them.
they're Manx cats. They don't have tails.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
nice.
So
That's like very
it's
unique. I like it.
yeah, it's evolutionary. Like they just
stop.
evolved that way.
Yeah.
It's a gene.
Yeah.
Ooh,
But yeah, so I'm Branden Densmore, and I'm a certified spiritual coach and a business consultant.
yeah.
And I help spiritually heart-centered people, genuine good people, to manifest their dreams.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get all excited about that, you know. I love
Yeah.
that.
Sounds like it's right up your alley, Erna. No
Yeah.
pun intended.
Yeah. Yes, true. So, how did you get there?
How did I get there? Well, I overdosed from heroin back in 2014.
Ooh.
So you might say that I turned my heroin addiction into a profitable business and a transformative life experience.
Hey, that's what we all want, right?
Right. And I'm just back then, I was surrounded by false friends and didn't have much self-confidence. And I had self-esteem issues, a lot of negative thinking, stuff like that, which was really at the root of my addiction that I struggled with for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and sacroiliac spondylitis.
Oh my goodness. And then
Yeah.
you're an addict.
Yeah, I was put on
How
pain
does
meds
that?
when I was 14.
Oh my.
So got really dependent on it.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and it progressed. I was in a cycle of using too much of the prescribed medication
Yeah.
because it would treat my physical pain, but it would also treat my emotional pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a lot of things happen in my past. I was sexually molested when I was 8 years old. Made fun of as a kid in school. I hated school. But anyways, long story short, I had a near-death experience in 2014 and was shown the future. I was shown the future where I didn't exist. All of the experiences I would never have.
Ooh.
And then at the end of the near-death experience, there was a being there, a presence, and it said, "Now your life is over and you wasted it."
Oh, no.
Just like Scrooge, huh?
Just like Scrooge or It's a Wonderful Life or something like that.
Yeah,
I guess these things actually happen to people.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah.
I remember in the vision that I had during the near-death experience, my mother finding my dead body.
Wow.
And she said, "My baby, my baby, my baby."
Yeah.
you telling me that. So yeah, I told Erna that you have quite the backstory, and I was hoping you would share that. 'Cause I know it would help a lot of people out there.
What did you say, Allie? You cut out there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I told Erna that you have quite the backstory, and I was hoping that you'd share it because I know it helped a lot of people out there. So thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So you had to turn around to turn that around because well, you're still here, so you decided to not go with that vision that left you out of the future.
Right. Yeah, I begged to not have that happen, to not die.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then bam, I was back in my body, and immediately I went into detox, into a hospital for 7
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
mm,
But after that, I was raw. I had a lot of resentment, which I've been speaking about in a lot of videos lately. But what I'd like to talk about today is the fear
Yeah.
that is like a plague in the spiritual community,
it is.
because people, they want to get their voice out there, but there's something blocking them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And they say that the second most common debilitating fear next to fear of death is fear of public speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yep.
Well, I do know that that is indeed true.
Mm-hmm.
People have so much fear to speak in public, so much fear for judgment.
Mm,
Mm, yeah.
judgment.
Yeah.
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 Criticism. People are critical. Very strongly opinionated. And when I was going to college, I took a class in public speaking, and they tell us to look and find a focal point. Not so you're not even looking at the people, you're looking over them, but they can't tell that. And then to just present yourself boldly and just think of the message that you're bringing across. Don't think about that. Don't look. No, don't look into the crowd, and don't think about people. Think about the message. And then when you're focusing on the message, then everyone just kind of disappears.
But actually, that is maybe it's outdated, but I would just say if you look at the people in your audience, then you include them in your story, in the
Mm,
presentation that you have, and then there's no room for fear because they're there for you to
mm.
watch you. So what made you go to fear, like the public speaking fear, Brandon?
Because a lot of my clients suffer from fear of getting their voice out there, whether it's video or doing posts online.
Yeah.
Some of them want to start businesses, spiritual based businesses. They have a gift. Maybe they read cards, or they're a healer, or different things that they do, and they're blocked from doing that because of the fear.
But would the fear be the fear of being judged? Because if you work in the spiritual realm, then still a lot of people think you're an airy fairy, woo woo, fake, fraud.
Hmm.
Would
Yeah,
that be the fear that they have?
definitely. I like to call it the fear of man, because that's what the Bible calls it. I was
Yeah.
raised in a religious society, but that's how I think. Just I relate to different concepts that I've learned. The fear of man. So
Yeah.
the fear of what people will think of you
Yeah.
and what they'll do
Mm,
is pretty common, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine because I recognize it because I did have that fear as well, working in corporate and then being spiritual, being a healer. Um, that's not something that you can just talk about. like to everybody or to just a few people. It's but even within my friends network, family, maybe yes, that's okay, they know me. But friends, it's also not so easy to talk about what I do, who I am, or was. Because now I really don't care anymore.
Mm.
Good
Because
for
this is
you.
who I am.
Yes, that's the way I am too. And it's like, um, you know, people um might like have a different point of view than I. And before I would like say, "Oh yeah, that's my point of view too." People pleaser, right? And so now it's like I have no problem in telling them what my opinion is, and they're like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." And so, by us trying to play the people pleasing game, we're actually kind of hurting the other people too, because um, they might actually appreciate what you have to say.
Yeah.
And so we sabotage ourselves and we sabotage other people, because like they could probably use our advice a long time ago, but we didn't open our mouths because we were afraid.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you help your clientele to overcome
Well,
that fear?
let's talk about, so you can think about fear on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's biological. So like what even is fear? And this, we've just talked about one type, fear of man or public speaking. We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of being ridiculed or rejected. So that's one breed, but there's many breeds.
Yeah.
Fear of death, fear of failure, fear of asking for money, on and on and on. So
Yeah.
what even is it that we're talking about? So on one level, it's biological. So it's like evolutionary.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
you can think of it, it's biochemical. So there are hormones being released in the body
Mm,
Yeah.
when you get afraid. And your
Yeah.
hands can clam up, your
mm,
heartbeat changes, your breathing changes.
Yeah, you get like red spots all over.
mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so on one level, it's a physical thing happening. And then
Mm-hmm.
on another level, it's psychological. So it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like your chakras. uh they're trying to absorb, like trying to kind of help with that blow or whatever. They're trying to keep you protected, but in the long run it's not protecting you at all.
Yeah, yeah. And did you mention chakras?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Muladhara chakra
Mm-hmm.
at the root of the being, in the sacrum. The
Mm-hmm.
Muladhara chakra is all about survival.
Yeah.
Mm. And that's the one thing that is innate in us. It's that every man has the will to survive. They have that will, because if we didn't, we would be dead yesterday, right? We'd all been dead yesterday. So you know, everybody wants to thrive and do better. And so when we are not, or we're in a stagnant place, then we get depressed and
Mm.
everything's working against us, because our nature is to do more and thrive and live and survive.
It's kind of a tribal thing as well, huh? It's
Yeah.
so ingrained that you need to be part of this tribe.
Mhm.
And if you're out of it, then you can be eaten by anything. And even though in the present time we won't be eaten by a saber-tooth tiger
No.
or whatever, there's still dangers around.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can be eaten by the bad wolf beast. Yeah.
And that's, you said it was, Erna said that it was ingrained.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's true. It's like on a biologic level. And it doesn't seem like we could ever totally get rid of it. nor would we want to, because it can be an ally and a friend.
Exactly.
So
It's not always bad, huh? Fear is not always
Right.
bad.
Right.
exactly. But when it keeps you stuck,
Yeah.
and it paralyzes you.
Mm.
So like, let's think about it in another way, is to think of it in the mytho spiritual perspective on fear, and the
I
kind
think
of
you
fear.
to explain that to the audience, because I can imagine that not everybody knows what that means.
So like mythology
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
or mythological.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so the mythological stories are spiritual because they're our heritage, and they tell us about ourselves and about the other realms that we exist in, because we're not just physical beings, we're emotional, we're mental, and we're spiritual.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this kind of fear that keeps us stuck, right? And
Mhm.
fear can be a good thing, but it can also keep us stuck.
Yeah.
So if we look at that kind of fear in like the mytho spiritual way, you could think of it as Medusa.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the story of Medusa?
Can you please let us know for the audience?
Yes.
So like in the ancient Greece, Medusa was a gorgon, which was a race of creatures. But in the ancient Greek mythology, she it was a woman with a body of a snake, and then the
Mm.
hair of the heads of snakes, like that was her hair,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
right? And she had all of these victims, and they were all petrified,
Mm.
Literally.
literally
Wow.
petrified.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So they would look at her, and her gaze would just turn them to stone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening on a spiritual level.
Yeah, petrified. The word,
People are
right?
petrified,
Yep.
frozen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
sad.
what happens when you have fear.
Exactly. So I just wanted to give you like an example.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So my father, for instance, and when I got clean, like I had to confront all of these fears
Mm.
Ooh.
because my life was on the line. If I didn't confront these fears and resentments and self-confidence issues and self-esteem stuff, that I was going to return to the drugs.
Yep.
So I had to figure this out. But I'll give you an example of like a fear that I had. So of my father.
Mm-hmm.
So I was afraid of what he thought about me.
Yeah.
You wanted to, you saw his approval and you weren't sure where you stood with him. So you were like, you didn't feel like you could measure up maybe, or was it something else?
I wanted his approval, but I wouldn't share, my authentic self
Mm-hmm.
out of a fear of what he would think.
Mm.
And he has a very, specific mindset,
Yep.
and my mindset differs from him.
Uh-huh.
But I wouldn't share that. I wouldn't share certain things that were going on in my life
Mm.
because I was afraid of his judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That word again, judgment. Yeah. And that is really like what we all think is like, I know for me, when I fell into for me, it was the fear of failure. Because, there's no way I could fail, right? Because I always do the right things, and, and, I always got the answer, I can solve everybody else's problems, but there's one problem. I couldn't solve my own. And when I realized that, and I was like, oh my God. And I realized that I couldn't save the world. It was like, oh my God, I failed. I failed. And I had the worst breakdown over that. And then a friend said, Allie, don't you realize that failure is the first step to success? And then totally turned it around.
Boom, perspective shift.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But you had to face your father.
I did.
What happened?
Well, I I really had to face myself.
Yeah.
Um, have either of you ever seen The Never-Ending Story?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, oh,
The dog. I love.
yes.
Do you remember? So it's this 80s like fantasy movie,
Oh, I love it.
I
Mm.
know.
really
Me too.
cool movie. And do you remember the second challenge that the main character had to go through?
I don't. It's been so long. Can you remind us?
He had um, to look into a mirror,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the never-ending story and the second challenge
Oh,
that the main character had to face. He had to look into the mirror and see his true self.
yeah.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
good.
the luck dragon in this movie
Yeah.
was like they were talking about this challenge, right?
Mm-mm.
Before Atreyu goes to do this mission. And no, it wasn't Atreyu, it was the main character. But anyways, no, it was Atreyu.
Atreyu.
That
Yeah,
was
I was
his
going to
name.
say Atreyu is the name of the main character.
Yeah. So Atreyu goes to go perform this task, and the luck dragon is like, well, they were talking about this challenge, and he's like, well, that doesn't sound so bad. That doesn't sound so bad. That's what the the luck dragon sounded like. And then he was
Yeah.
talking to an elf about it.
Yeah.
They were sitting up on a mountain talking about this challenge that the main character had to go through. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. And the elf came back and said, no, 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 no. You don't understand.
He really talked like that.
Good impression.
You don't understand. He's
Yeah.
like, brave men look into the mirror and find out that they are cowards.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Um, and then he just went on and on giving different examples. And he said, most people run away terrified.
mm. It gives me chills.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
So
That's what
I
happened.
had to look into the mirror and see my true self, and it wasn't pretty.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's I'm not sure how that came up, but
Well, there was an example
oh,
of how
you were
to.
saying that I had to face my father,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
but what I really had to do was face myself.
Yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it all starts. It stems from inside, doesn't it? And we're looking on the outside to fix our problems when it's on the inside.
That's where so many of our hang-ups is on the inside.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's mostly right here in our head. If we could just get all the thoughts, taken out. But then for me, what I learned, Brendan, was that what I was doing was I was going back to the past, regretting the past, and I was going to the future, which I haven't had a chance to be there yet, but it was back and forth, this little pendulum going back and forth.
Mm.
Then I I just literally drove myself crazy doing that. And then someone says, just concentrate on the present. And that's what I had to do. And to this day, that is what I do. Um, I've had so much help through that. And now, how did you come about to go through your journey? Did you have coaches along the way, Brendan?
I did the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mhm.
So after I got out of detox, I went into an outpatient service where I worked with some professionals, and then after that enrolled, started going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and found a sponsor, a good one.
Yep, good. That's awesome.
So you
So,
were you were pretty lucky with that.
I was, yeah.
good. So for someone who's going through this right now, whether it be a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, fear, what would you tell them to reach out to someone, a different, another source, or to handle it themselves?
People who are facing fear issues,
Yeah, fear or addiction of any kind.
I would recommend both.
Yeah.
seeking outside help, and also working on your own.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Because it's
And
always good to get other perspectives and to talk about things with people,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah,
So
true.
like,
but also
okay, so
doing the inner work that needs to be done.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot in work. Right? Would you, so you would recommend the AAA to either a drug addict or a alcohol addict? Is that what I'm getting? Is that correct?
Yeah, like I don't really go to meetings anymore,
Hmm.
but it serves a purpose depending on where you are in the journey.
Yeah.
It provides a pretty solid community. Not that there aren't, people that you need to be careful of that go to meetings.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but the process within AA is pretty powerful.
Yeah. Good. That's awesome. All right. Perfect. Oh, okay. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Brandon, to wrap it up?
Yeah, how much time do we have?
We have all the time in the world, but how much time do you want to give
Okay.
us?
Well, I wanted to talk about some solutions.
Okay, great.
But I was actually just wanting to ask. So we
Let's just
talked
leave it
about
at that and
fear
we'll call it
now,
good.
and then and then what about the solutions?
Right. So have you either of you ever heard of logotherapy?
Logotherapy?
Logotherapy.
No.
So this guy, Dr. Viktor Frankl,
Okay.
wrote a
Name
book.
is familiar, but
Yep, he was a Holocaust survivor,
okay.
and he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he wrote a couple different books actually, but in these books he develops this concept called logotherapy.
Ooh.
But in his how he survived the Holocaust was that he wanted to come back to his wife, who he was separated from, and he was in prison and tortured and all this stuff. How did he get through it? He had this clear mental image of his wife
Oh,
that he wanted to return to.
yeah.
So he turned that into um, a method of healing and self-development called logotherapy.
Wow.
And logo in this sense means meaning.
Okay.
So finding meaning in your
Meaning.
life.
Yeah. Just find
Perfect.
one thing that is of meaning for you in your life,
Hmm.
and then use that to heal yourself,
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah.
Mm,
exactly.
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
So in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's like steps 1, 2, and 3 are a kind of spiritual initiation.
Whoa.
Um, do you guys know about the steps?
No.
1, 2, no?
Okay. Go ahead. Erna doesn't know, so yeah. Please, can you please let us know? And then there might be someone in the audience too that doesn't know. So please enlighten us. Mm.
So steps 1, 2, and 3 are about, it's like a spiritual initiation.
Mhm.
So like step 1 is admitted that we're powerless over alcohol.
Yep.
And then step 2 is came to believe that a higher power could restore us to sanity.
Yes.
And then step 3 is decided to turn our will over the care of God as we understood him.
Mm.
And I learned a prayer for step 3. Um, so it's, God, I give myself to you to build with me and do with me as you will.
Mm.
Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy mercy, and thy way of life.
Mm.
May I do thy will always. So it's like
That is powerful.
It is very
opening
powerful.
powerful.
Yeah.
that created a sense of meaning for me
Yeah.
Mm.
because I opened myself up to becoming an agent of the divine.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that
So
was your
now
purpose.
my life had a purpose.
Very good.
Find your meaning, find your healing.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a great tagline.
Erna?
Sometimes I'm pretty good with things like this.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Find your meaning, find your healing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Makes perfect.
absolutely. Yeah.
And other ways like you can think of meaning, like synchronicities, spiritual guidance.
Yeah.
Maybe you're reading a book, you're watching a video, something stands out to you. Like
Thank you,
there's a
Brent.
purpose. We're all here for a reason, and we're going somewhere, and we have direction through our intuition. But knowing that and having meaning and purpose can really help you have courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need a path to take, right? And we just need to know where that path leads. And sometimes we don't know where that path leads. And like you're saying, there's where the fear comes on. We're scared because we don't know the fear of the unknown.
Mm.
Also fear. And so now, were you spiritual before you went into the AA meetings?
I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness,
Okay.
and kind of rebelled against that in my teens.
Mm-hmm.
But I always had kind of a spiritual type interest in things.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what if someone's not spiritual, Brendan, but they want to go to an AA meeting? What advice would you give them?
Go.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah. Even atheists, go to AA meetings.
Awesome.
Um, but yeah,
And like Ernest said, so if you have an addiction of either alcohol or drugs or something else that's, fentanyl, whatever is going on today, which is really sad.
mm,
Um, then, go to an AA meeting and um, find your path, find your meaning, find your healing, right, Erna?
Yep.
Great way to end it. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Brendan?
um, just like awareness, increasing your awareness of them.
Yeah.
What are they? How are they holding you back? And to realize that if you're staying stuck and you have a purpose, then you're being self-centered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
It might sound a little bit harsh,
Mm, I know. That is
but
true. It
we
is
can't let the fear hold us back from accomplishing our mission.
right.
No,
Exactly.
true. True.
Mhm. Yeah.
When
And
where there's fear, there is darkness. Where there's love, there's no room for fear.
true.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, it is. Ernest got these good ones.
Well,
But
actually, I was talking to my sister this
oh,
morning about the same subject,
that's all.
unintentionally, but it came up.
See, I know guys in the room, but so if you guys have seen Something's Got to Give, the movie Something's Got to Give with Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson, he goes back and asks for forgiveness from every woman that he has hurt. And that's kind of like in AAA, you go back and you ask for forgiveness for the people you've hurt, right, Brandon?
Yep,
Yeah.
That is also powerful, forgiveness.
Yes. Yes. That's a big.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, if
Mm.
people want to connect with you, want to work with you, where can they find you?
Facebook is my platform of choice. So Branden Densmore.
We'll
You can
put it
find
in
me
the
on,
description, but
I can send you a link to put in the description if you'd
Yes,
like.
please. Yeah.
But Branden, Branden.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it O-N or A-N, but mine's
yeah.
E-N. You can find me, send me a private message.
Yeah. Cool.
Or Coach Branden Densmore at Gmail.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll
And
put that in the description so that everybody knows where to find you.
Awesome.
yeah, and thanks for being on today. For me, Branden, it's really hard because I have you as a friend, and I have a Branden as a friend, and a Brendan as a friend.
There's so many different Brandons out there.
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
spelt a little bit differently.
Well, in Dutch,
Different personality.
and in Dutch,
Ahead, yeah.
your name means fires, multiple.
Wow.
Branden.
Really?
Branden, yes.
Wow, Branden, I like that.
How did you know that?
I'm Dutch. I am Dutch. So
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Fires.
I wonder
Branden,
if there's
fires.
I used to love like reading about etymology and stuff like that, word origins,
Yeah.
Mm.
but I've never heard that.
Well,
Uh,
you're a fiery man.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I like
so yeah, so you're gonna go back now, put all kinds of fires, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna paint them on my walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Branden, this is totally off the record, but or off the subject, I should say, do you play music at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I
Just
do
to say
beatboxing.
You do beatboxing? Oh, that's awesome. I was gonna say my other two friends are both pianists. The other two that are Brendan and Brandon's. So I just thought maybe there's a music thing connection here too, the names. But,
My family is
well,
very musical.
awesome.
That doesn't
That's great.
count, Branden. That doesn't count. Yeah, exactly.
So we have been delighted to have you here today, Branden, and we hope that
Absolutely.
you, we hope that you enjoy that newborn baby of yours and the kitties and your new life coaching, and I'm just so happy for you and how your life has turned around. And I know you are ecstatic about it. And I'm hoping to see you in the near future, because I was telling Erna we don't live very far from each other. And but I will bid you adieu, and thanks for being on our show. And yeah, we've been it's been an awesome 45 minutes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me so much. Appreciate it.
Right. Well,
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Okay.
Maybe. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.